Hey everybody, how you doing? Hopefully you're all having a great 3-day weekend. So yesterday I published a list of stocks that may potentially be actionable next week. So I wanted to make a video to go through each chart just to provide a little commentary. I will warn you, there's quite a few names in this list, so I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on each chart. I'm going to flip through pretty quickly, but hopefully you find it helpful. I did publish this watch list. Anybody can download it. If you're a TrendSpider user, you can import it right into TrendSpider, but it's there for anybody to see, and I'm going to try to keep it updated with newer names each week when I'm looking at for potential opportunities for the following week. So let's start with XLF. So really interesting one last week, held up really well, started to show some relative strength. So the question is, is money starting to rotate into financials? I think that might be the case, but I did want to point out here in this ETF, if we have the anchored VWAP from those December 18 lows, you could see it acting as support all the way up here, came back here, acted as resistance, that general area, and we're right there. We're right below that key point. We're also below a declining 200-day moving average. You can see here this blue line acted as resistance in June. And we're also right below the 61% fib retrace from the February high from the March low. So we've retraced about 61.8% of that move. So we're right below all these key points. So it'll be really interesting next week to see if we have the strength to break through that, or if in fact these act as resistance once again, and maybe we show some weakness. So again, I'm looking for the names in financials more from a strength perspective. I see a lot of nice charts, but just in case they're not quite ready, you can always go with the inverse ETF. You could trade FAZ, F-A-Z, if financials show a little bit of weakness next week, just for a shorter term trading opportunity. Jets, the airline ETF. Really like this name. You can see here when this chart pulls up that we're above key point. We made we're right above this high from August. We're just above this Alpha Trends anchored VWAP from the June high. So I really like this name. Maybe for a run, maybe up to this declining 200-day, $21. That would be a pretty good move, and I think the potential's there. So I like this name, controlling risk against the lows of last week. Full disclosure, I am long Jets, so we'll see how it goes next week. XOP, the exploration energy, oil and gas exploration and production ETF. A lot of weakness out of energy, so just something I'm watching here. You can see in between these two key Alpha Trends anchored VWAP. So not quite ready yet, but if it breaks above or below this, you can trade this either way. Energy still, if money starts rotating in, it could provide some excellent opportunities. Not there yet, in my opinion, as this still looks like a weak area, but this is a chart I'm watching that I wanted to share, and I'll be watching throughout the week. GDX. GDX has took a big hit the last couple of weeks. It's been flattish and coming down, but I did want to point out it is still in a nice solid longer term uptrend, higher highs, higher lows, and we're consolidating nicely here, in between this, $45 and $37 level. So if we start breaking up and out of that consolidation, which is what I'm looking for, maybe a move above 42 or so, I do have a position in GDX. It's not nearly as big as it was a month or so ago, but I would definitely look to add if we can start breaking up and out of this consolidation. IHI. Now, I'm starting this video with the ETFs. I mentioned in the past, if I see a lot of names within a group that are showing strength and have similar looking charts, I prefer to go with the ETF. You eliminate some of that company specific risk, and I just find it easier to manage the position. And what I'll do if I go with the ETF is my position size will be much larger in an ETF versus individual stocks. So here's IHI, had that really nice consolidation here, really tight between, 290, 295, it broke out, and it's kind of coming back to retest it there. If I pull up the volume by price, you'll see there's going to be a ton of volume traded. I'll anchor it to the lows from March, and you'll see there's going to be a lot of, well, I'll just leave it here. It's not going to make a difference, but you can see there's a ton of shares traded here. So this is a really important level to hold. It held that Friday. So if this starts showing strength in the next week, I think this is a nice potential long opportunity with the risk, or for me personally, my stop would be under Friday's lows. So something to keep an eye on there. A nice looking ETF. A lot of names in this group too. If you want to look at individual names, a lot of medical device names still showing some really nice looking strength in charts. So let's get to some individual names. Zoom had that huge gap up after earnings, up about 50%, and it just, you can see that huge volume here, and it just kind of been coming down since then. So if this starts coming back up, Friday it started digging in a little bit. I can zoom into a shorter term chart here. This is the 65-minute chart, and you can see it's still making a series of lower highs and lower lows. So once that pattern breaks, I would look to get long Zoom against the most recent low. So something I'm watching next week, Abbott, similar story, had a huge gap up, and it actually filled that gap on Friday. So I like the look here quite a bit. You can see this, 103 was a nice tight consolidation, broke above it, that huge gap, came back, filled that gap Friday. So what am I looking for here on the shorter term chart? I've talked about this. In order for me to be more patient, you can still see it's still making lower highs and lower lows. So I'm looking for that to reverse, and I do work full time. So something I'm working on to help me be a little bit patient and make sure things are bouncing back up before just buying at potential support is to look for a 13 EMA, 34 EMA crossover. So I could show you how I do that right here. I'll just create this alert. I haven't done it yet, so I'll do it before I forget. I have that saved in a template here in TrendSpider. So 65-minute, 34 cross, select that. So this will alert me when this 13 EMA crosses the 34, and then I can pull up the chart of Abbott and potentially buy that one next week. So alert set, ready to go. Okay, CCL, Carnival Cruise Lines. This one's lagging RCL a little bit, but I really like the developments in this chart. See, I anchored that Alpha Trends VWAP from that June high, breaking above that, breaking above, this horizontal level. You can see, $17 was resistance here a couple times, breaking above that. So I really like this one. If we can get a run to that June high, that's a huge move. So this is one I really like for next week. BA, this one, you got to watch this one for when it breaks, but it's been a frustrating one, I think, for a lot of traders because it really hasn't done anything. For a couple months. It's just been consolidating in this tight range. So just watch it for a break of this consolidation. Look for a break above 180. If you were looking to play shorts, maybe a break down below that 150. That's quite a move below. But I'm looking for this one for longs and a big name liquid. I'm looking probably this would be a good option play to potentially enter some calls if it starts showing some strength. Big lots. Simple trade here, right? This, $45 was resistance, broke above it, back here. So if it starts moving up on a shorter term time frame, kind of like I showed with Abbott, definitely one to put on your radar. SNPS, a lot of strength lately, similar to Abbott. Again, here's your level. 205 was resistance. Filled that level Friday, so look forward to start turning back up, and then you can manage your risk above that level from Friday's low. So nice opportunity potentially there in SNPS. Steel Dynamics, STLD, really like this chart. Making higher highs and higher lows since that March low, and now it's kind of consolidating nicely. So what am I looking for here? You can see here on this level here, we'll call it $30 was resistance, came back in support. So that's where we can manage risk off of. And I'm just looking for it to show some strength, maybe break out to those highs around $31. So STLD is definitely one that's on my list for next week. TSE, it's a really nice consolidation. I could highlight the level here so you could see what I'm looking for is a break above this. We'll call it 2750 or so. Nice looking chart there. So if it breaks above 2750, I would look for a potential long ad, probably against the lows from Friday, around 2550 or so. AXL, similar look, just a nice consolidation. Had that big run there, all the way from 250 to almost $10. So a huge run, just been digesting those gains. So I'm looking for it, to break above those highs from last week, 850 or so, and then maybe we can get a nice run, place to stop around those lows from Friday. So potential trade opportunity there. This one here, I really like this one. If I have to rank them, this one's pretty high on my ranking list because we have a big level. We have the shorter term consolidation here. It's been consolidating for a couple weeks, just really tight consolidation, which I like to look for. One, because you can manage risk off the lows of that consolidation, and two, if something consolidates really tight, the chances of a big move and volatility expansion are greater. But this level here, I have my alert set right there and at that line. But you can see this 36-ish level, was resistance all the way back here last year. Came there, that's where the February highs were, and we're consolidating right there, right underneath that level. So that's all the more reason to like this one if it can move above that 36.50 or so. So that one's really high on my watch list. CTB, pretty simple here, right? Nice uptrend, consolidating. Let's see if it can break out of that consolidation to the upside. I'll place my stop, below Friday's lows if that happens. So CTB, another nice one I'm watching for next week. REGI, Reggie, like this chart. If you look at it a longer term, weekly chart, it looks good. Showed some strength late last week as the markets did not. So if this one can move up, above $40 or so out of this consolidation, like this name quite a bit. Again, here my stop would probably be below Friday's lows. GBX, Greenbrier Companies, I like this chart quite a bit. You can see this highlighted area was support, then resistance, then resistance, then resistance, and we're just above it. Had a nice pop on Friday. So we'll see if that can continue into next week again. You can manage your risk. I would manage mine. It's different for everybody, but a stop under Friday's lows seems like a reasonable level for me. So that's GBX. Like that one a lot next week. Next one is RYAM. Again, really tight consolidation. As I mentioned, I like to buy things breaking out of a recent consolidation, and we have that here with RYAM. If it can break above the 350 level, I think we can get a nice move here. You can see this one was a dollar. It's moved up 3 to 330, so a huge move, kind of digesting those gains. So we'll see if it can continue that and break up. If so, we want to play it on the long side while managing our risks, maybe against Friday's lows. As I mentioned, there are quite a few charts here, a lot of nice setups. CFX, pretty simple, right? We had this high here. That was resistance again here in July, kind of finding support here. So if it can break out, if we, drew a trend line here, I'd like to see this break around $34 or so. But I do like this chart. I like this tight consolidation here back into this former resistance level. So let's see if that holds, and if it starts moving up, looks like a nice long opportunity. Caesars, CZR. Similar look to a lot of the others. We have this level here, 46 bucks was resistance in June. We're above that, so kind of consolidating a little here last week. So we'll see if it can start moving up. Again, we can manage risk against the lows from Friday. DAR, just a beautiful chart here. This one had a nice move Friday. You can see this tight, I'll zoom in a little bit, this tight consolidation, between 30, 31, and $34 started to break out of that. So I really like to look at here if we can get some continuation into next week. Again, you can put your stops, I'd probably put mine against that Friday low or somewhere around there. Different for everybody, depends on your position size, time frame, etc. This one, WKHS, a popular name out there, and for good reason, just a beautiful consolidation here. I don't have volume by price pulled up, but it's obvious to tell there's just been a ton of shares traded in this range from 13 to 22. It's a wide range. It doesn't look like it on the chart because this one has really had a significant move. But full disclosure, I am long this one, and I would like to get longer if it could break above $20, $21, which isn't too far above, because it has this just beautiful consolidation. Like this name a lot. That's WKHS. MRNA, another one that's pretty popular. But I like this chart, not quite ready yet, but maybe that changes next week. But so the level I'm watching here, you can see these highs here from June, it kind of hit a wall here, around $67 or so that acted as support then, and it's back below that a little bit. So I'd want to see it get back below that, and in addition, maybe break this downtrend line from here. So we'll call it around $70. If MRNA can get above $70, I think it's a really nice potential long opportunity. We have, this is all the way up here, $95 for the high, so that could be an initial target. I like to take profits sometimes at an initial target, but I don't like to, if something hits my mental profit target, I typically don't just sell there because, if something's in an uptrend, you never know how far it's going to go. So I kind of manage my risk. I'll raise my stops up along the way, but I don't like to set a profit target on my full position. But I do find it helpful to take some off the table if it's working in your direction, and reduce that position size. And it helps me be a little bit more patient with the rest of the position. ADS looks kind of like Boeing, doesn't it? Just kind of been hanging out in this area. So if we get a breakout above, Friday actually had a nice move. This one might be actionable for me Monday Tuesday if it cooperates against those lows Friday. But I really like this chart. Tight consolidation, tons of shares traded in here. I'll go ahead and just pull up that volume by price. I think this volume by price just provides a nice visual kind of to what you're seeing. It supplements the price action. Wow, look at that. You can see all these shares traded right here, around $46. So that just tells me that this level is extremely important. You can see it in the price action. It consolidates and you see all those shares traded there. And it just reinforces how important this level is. And we're starting to break above that. So that would be bullish. I think this one could potentially start moving next week. Snap, SNAP. Showed a little bit of strength Friday, not crazy, but it held this consolidation, $21, it held there. So what I'm looking for here, if it can break up above those highs of, 23.50 or so, you can see that level here as I highlight it has been important. It acted as support here, resistance here, resistance here. So if we can get above that 23.50, I would look for potential long opportunity in Snap. Last one here, I told you there's large charts. Thanks for your patience. VOZI. This one really had a huge volume move on last Thursday, so that's interesting. The chart looks pretty nice, pretty wide consolidation here. You can see 320 to 480 or so. You get that with these lower price stocks sometimes, but bottom line, if this thing cooperates and starts moving up above 475, $5, it looks like a really nice potential long opportunity for me. If I were to enter this one, just due to the volatility in the name and it being under a $5 stock, my position size would be quite a bit lower than it would for a more liquid, heavily traded name, but nevertheless an opportunity here in VOZI. So hopefully you found this helpful. I will go ahead and post this link again when I post this video. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And thanks for watching. And I hope you have a good rest of the weekend. Thank you.